Chag Sameach to everyone. We are on the threshold of one of the holiest days of the year, Hoshana Rabbah, the day of the great Hoshana. And this is, as Chazal have put it, the Gemar Din. This is the culmination of the avoda, the service that we have been giving forth since Rosh Hashanah. Really, since Elul. Elul is the preparation for Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the preparation for the Aseret Yemei Tshuva. Aseret Yemei Tshuva is the preparation for Yom Kippur. And even after Yom Kippur, we haven't reached the culmination yet. Even though it says that Rosh Hashanah is the Yom Hadin, and Yom Kippur is the Chasimas Hadin, is the finality, the seal of the Din. But as our sages have taught us, the reality is that it's Hoshana Rabbah that is the real Gemar Din. Once we reach Hoshana Rabbah, that's it. Whatever has been finalized and has been declared cannot be changed until the following year. There are opinions. Some Hasidim hold it goes till V'zois Chanukah, but as far as we know in Chazal, the Zohar brings this, the Midrashim, that Hoshana Rabbah is the real Gemar Din. That's why in the service, the Chazan, the one who leads the prayers, is going to wear a kittel. He wears the white garment that everyone wears on Yom Kippur. So this is the real Gemar Din. It's the day of the great Hoshana. So what is so great about this day? What is it that Hoshana Rabbah is the culmination of the entire 51-day period from Rosh Chodesh Elul through Rosh Hashanah, Aseret Yemei Tshuva, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and now we finally reached the pinnacle, the day of the great Hoshana. So let us delve into the source of Hoshana Rabbah and what this teaches us. So the Mishnah in the Gemara in Sukkah says the following. The Mishnah can be found on Daf Memhei 45a. And the Mishnah says like this: V'oisoi hayom, on that great day, makifin es hamizbeach sheva pa'amim. We would go around the Mizbeach in the Beis Hamikdash in the time of the Holy Temple. We would go around the altar, the Mizbeach, 7 times, which is what we do on Hoshana Rabbah. We don't have a Beis Hamikdash, we don't have a Mizbeach, but we go around the Bima. We do the 7 hakafas. Every day we do 1 hakafa. We go around the Bima. And on Hoshana Rabbah we go around 7 times. And in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, they did the same thing. They would go around the Mizbeach once, what we call Hoshanas, and different minhagim of when you do Hoshanas. In Eretz Yisrael, mostly everyone does it after Halal. They have Shachris. After Shachris, you have Halal. And after Halal, they do Hoshanas. And then Kriyas HaTorah and Musaf. That's primarily what's done in Eretz Yisrael. According to all the different nuschos, whether you're Sephardi, Sfarad, Ashkenaz. In America, usually Minig Ashkenaz is to do Hoshanas, the service called the Hoshana, is done after Musaf. Okay, be that as it may, whatever each community's minhagim are, customs are, but it comes from the Mishnah. So on that day, they would surround the Mizbeach 7 times. And what did they do? They would conceal. And they would take these huge willow branches, aravas, but not the little ones that we take, these gigantic willow branches, because remember, the Mizbeach was 2 stories tall. So they would take these huge branches, gigantic branches, willow branches, and they would completely cover the altar. They would encircle the altar with the branches standing straight up, and it was completely concealed. If you were looking at the altar, all you saw were willow branches. Completely concealed the altar. And on the Hoshana Rabbah, we would go around 7 times. B'shas p'tiroson, at the end of the service, when we were finished with the Hoshanas, Mahin Oimrim, says the Mishnah, what did the Jewish people, what did the Kohanim and the Yisraelim who were in the Beis HaMikdash, what did they say? Yoifi lach mizbeach, yoifi lach mizbeach. Beautiful. How beautiful is the altar? How beautiful is this custom that we're doing? Okay. This is what the Mishnah says. What's interesting is 2 things. Number 1, why at the end of the service, culminating the great Hoshana Rabbah, the great day, after all the tefillos, after all of the supplications, after all of the service that we put in the entire Sukkot, why is it that we say at the end, Yoifi lach mizbeach, Yoifi lach mizbeach? How beautiful mizbeach. We don't find this at any other holiday. By Pesach, we have 7 days of Pesach. Of course, in Chutz La'aretz, we have 8 days. And that's because of our customs before the setting of the calendar. But be that as it may, at the end of Pesach, we didn't, after all of the service and all the karbanos and all of the sacrifice and everything that we did, we didn't say, we turn to the Mizbeach before we depart from the holiday, and we say, Yoifi lach Mizbeach. We didn't do that. We don't do it Shavuos. We don't find any time during the service in the temple that we say such a thing. So, number 1, why are we saying this specifically on Hoshana Rabbah? Yoifi lach Mizbeach. And the other question which the commentators deal with, primarily the Marsha, is why do we say it twice? Why don't we just say it once? Yoifi lach Mizbeach. How wonderful is the service in the temple? How wonderful is the service to the altar? Why do we say it twice? So the commentators bring a famous Gemara at the end of Maseches Sukkah, which brings the following story. It's not a very pleasant story, but the Gemara says the following. Tanu Rabbanan, Maisa b'Miriam bas Bilga. There's a story with a woman called Miriam bas Bilga. Bilga was one of the Kohanic families at the time of the temple, and Miriam belonged to this family called Bilga. Shehimra data, she went off the beaten path, she went off the derech. V'holcha v'nisis l'sardiot echad mimalchei Yevanim, and she married one of the officers in the Greek army. So she intermarried. So not only did she leave the Jewish practice, but she married a non-Jew, a Greek officer. We know in the time of the Greeks, when they came in and they defiled the temple, Rachmana litzlan, she kicked the mizbeach, the altar, with her shoe. Va'amra, and she screamed. She said to the altar, she was like speaking to the altar, Lucas, Lucas. Says Rashi, what is Lucas? Lucas means a wolf. So this isn't the story of the boy who cried wolf. This is the story of the woman who cried wolf. And she said, wolf, wolf. In Greek, Lucas is a wolf. How long are you going to consume the money of the Jewish people? Because bringing sacrifices is a lot of money. And during the holidays, everyone was obligated to go to the temple. Everybody was obligated to bring sacrifices. You're talking about tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars of animals, be it cows, sheep, all kinds of animals that had to be brought on the Mizbeach. He brought hundreds and hundreds every day. As besides all of the promises of a person made a vow to bring in a sacrifice, and besides all of that, you had all the sacrifices of the actual holiday that every Jewish family had to bring. So how long are you going to consume the money of the Jewish people, and you don't help them out in their time of need, in their dire straits? So she was angry during the time of the Greeks, when the Greeks overwhelmed and overpowered the Jewish people, and they went in and they defiled the temple, and they were able to, so to speak, subjugate the Jewish people. And it was a very, very difficult time during the Greek period. So she was angry, and she expressed herself. When the sages heard what she had done, they punished, when eventually, of course, the Jewish people defeated the Greeks and they purified the temple and they resumed the service. So they punished the house of Bilgah to make their service in the temple a little bit more difficult, a little bit more challenging, uncomfortable. So they did they did a certain few things in order to punish them for the terrible degradation and Chilul Hashem caused by Miriam Bas Bilgah, the daughter of this family. And the reason why we punish the family is because of the famous axiom, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. If this woman can go and degrade the service in the temple, it must be, where did she get this idea from? From home. In other words, her father maybe didn't degrade the service, but he was more cool about it. And therefore, since the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, we punish the family because her ideas came from her father. So says the Marsha, she did two actions. One is, she did an action, she hit the Mizbeach, she said, right, she kicked it with her foot, and she degraded the service in the temple with her mouth. So we have a Maisa, an action, she kicked the Mizbeach. and we have a dibur, we have speech. So when they reinstated the service in the temple after the Hashmonaim defeated the Greeks, so we say Yofi lach mizbeach twice in order to combat her degradation. And we say, no, beautiful. It's beautiful, the service in the temple. It's beautiful, the service in the temple. Okay, so Ad Kan Divrei HaMarsha, this is what the Marsha, how he explains this story. But when that answers the second question of why we say Yofi lach mizbeach twice as opposed to one time. Since two acts of degradation were done, one with an action and one with speech, so opposing that, we say Yofi lach mizbeach, we praise the temple service twice. That's very nice. But that doesn't explain yet why we do it twice. Why we do it on Motzei Sukkos. We should really maybe be praising the service after every holiday. Why specifically did our sages see fit in order to do it at the end of Sukkos? And this is going to open up, number one, what is the holiday of Sukkos? What is the greatness of Hoshana Rabbah? And what is the essence of a Jew? And what we're supposed to take from this holiday and this great day so that we can all merit what we say, a gemar chasima tova, a real closure, a real sealing of a good judgment. So let us begin with the Mishnah in Avos. The Mishnah says the following. Even though the Mishnah brings 4 categories of people, we're going to focus on 2. So the famous Mishnah in Avos says, Sheli Sheli Vishelcha Sheli. One of the attitudes that a person can have in this world is, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine. That, everyone agrees, says the Mishnah of us, that is an evil person. That's a rasha. An evil person is somebody who thinks everything's coming to him. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine. That's a rasha. Corresponding to that, the Mishnah says, Shelcha, Sheli Shelcha, Vishelcha Shelcha. What's mine is yours, and what's yours is yours. That is referring to a tzaddik. So those are 2 out of the 4. We're going to focus on these 2 attitudes. One is referred to as the tzaddik, one is referred to as the rasha. So we understand the rasha very well. A person who goes around saying, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine, we understand. He's an evil person. It's bad enough that he thinks that what he has is his, but that even what somebody else has is also his. So that we understand. But what's the idea that shalcha shalcha, we understand. What's yours is yours. That we understand. But what does it mean, what's mine is yours? How could what's mine be yours? If you tell me what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, I understand. But what does it mean, and what's yours is yours, that's for sure, but what does it mean, what's mine is yours? What exactly does that mean? So, in order to understand these 2 opposites, the tzaddik and the rasha, called the attitude of someone who is evil versus the attitude of someone who is righteous, we can understand it in the following way. There is a famous tshuva Rashba. That tshuva is brought in Chelik Hey Siman Nun Hey. And the Rashba, who is one of the Rishonim, so he's not as famous as Rashi and the Rambam, but he's quite famous in the yeshiva world, being that he has a very famous commentary on the Talmud, on Shas. As opposed to Rashi is on Chumash and everywhere else, some people are more familiar with Rashi, the Rambam. But the Rashba was also very, very great, one of the greatest Rishonim. And he was asked the following question. He was asked, please explain the first paragraph of Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, and V'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha. Please explain this paragraph. So the Rashba starts off by saying, listen, this is very deep Kabbalistic ideas going on over here, the oneness of God, etc. So, this is beyond my scope. Obviously it wasn't, but that's what the Rishonim, in their modest way, that's what he writes. He says, but since it's something, that we say every day, 2-3 times a day, Shachris, Mariv, Kriya Shema Lamita, and it's an integral part, it is the essence of every Jew, Shema Yisrael. So I'm going to explain it to you al pi pshat. No Kabbalah, no esoteric mysticism, just simple pshat. So he explains the following. He says, what are these 3 things that it says a person is supposed to serve God with all of his heart, with all of his soul, and with all of his money? So he says, number 1, these are corresponding to the 3 avos. Right? Most people know this, but I'm going to tell you what most people don't know. So it's corresponding to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Avram is b'chol levavcha, with your whole heart. Yitzchak is b'chol nafshcha, with your whole soul, your whole body. B'chol me'adecha is with your entire money, with all of your possessions. So the Rashba explains like this. B'chol levavcha, what does that mean with your whole heart? It means the following. Why is it corresponding to Avram Avinu? So says the Rashba, because what does it mean b'chol levavcha? It means the following. A person has different likes in this world. This physical world. Some things we like more, some things we like less. But the more of an attachment we have, the harder it is to depart with. Person might have, few personal items which are very important to him. So if he loses one, okay, it's not the end of the world. But then there are certain things that, he's all broken over, or he can't think straight. He's completely muffled and muddled, and it's very difficult to give up. What was the one attachment? Avram Avinu, we're talking about Avram Avinu here. What was the one attachment that he had in this world? That was his son Yitzchak. His whole life he prayed to have a son who will follow in his ways, who will bring his message to the world of the oneness of God and the kindness of God. And he will command, his descendants, etc., in the ways of God. And his whole life he prayed for this. And finally came the day he was granted it. He was given a son. And he put everything into that son. And he became the second Av, Yitzchak Avinu. So you can imagine what kind of education Yitzchak had. And at 137 years old, Avram Avinu was told, Kach lecha es bincha es yechidcha asher ahavta velech lecha el haaretz asher arech. Take your only child, whom you love, Yitzchak, and bring him on the altar as a sacrifice. So Avram Avinu was asked to take everything, every attachment, every emotion, every connection that he had in this physical world and give it to God. And he did it. That's b'chol levavcha. It's very easy to give away something that we're not so attached to. But something that we become attached to, try to take away somebody's iPhone, God forbid, Not that he should have one, but should he have one? No, try to take it away for 24 hours. I don't know. I gotta see my emails. I gotta see my WhatsApp. I gotta see my FaceTime. I don't know what time it is. All right. B'chol levavcha. A person has to be ready to give up every attachment he has in this physical world to do the will of God. That's Avram Avinu. The next, b'chol nafshecha, that is Yitzchak. It's not enough that we give away our attachment. We have to be willing to give away up to even our soul. Now, says the Rashba, a big chiddush over here. We're not talking about somebody who's giving up his life, because sometimes in a moment of courage, a person is capable of giving up their life. But says the Rashba, I want something even more practical. And I'll give you an example. Let's say he says ad nafshecha. I'll give you an example. Let's say a person goes to a wedding. It comes home quite late. Understandable. It comes home 2, 3 in the morning. It could be a good friend's wedding, etc. And he's dead tired, understandably. And he has to wake up the next morning. And it's very difficult. That's b'chol nafshecha. Is he ready to give up his precious sleep and wake up to make sure that he doesn't miss Zman Kriya Shema, Zman Tefillah? That's b'chol nafshecha. To give up your life, I'm not saying it's easy, and certainly not if you have to contemplate it, but certain times there's a certain adrenaline, a certain courage a person has in a spur of a moment where he is capable on a certain level. But what about when you got to give up of your precious sleep in order to make sure you make it on time? That's b'chol nafshecha. Where you're willing to give up of what's not just precious to you, but even of your own soul to God. That's it, corresponding to Yaakov Avinu, and that's all of your money, where it says that Yaakov Avinu to merit being buried in the Maras HaMachpelah, because when it came time for Maras HaMachpelah to bury Yaakov said, listen, you gave Leah one spot, and the other spot belongs to me. You gave up your spot to Leah. That's your problem, not my problem. And Yaakov Avinu was willing to give up all the money he made by Lavan. He made an entire pile, a huge, gigantic pile of money, and said, it's all yours. Take it, just so I can be buried. He says, not stupid. I can be buried anywhere. Dirt is dirt. I'll take the money. You're gonna have the burial plot. Just like he was willing to sell his soul for a bowl of lentils, he was willing to sell himself in order to get the money. And Yaakov Avinu, he understood what the Maras HaMachpelah was willing to give away every penny. And that's b'chol me'odecha. Now, I'm going to tell you an amazing story. It's an amazing, amazing story of what it means, b'chol me'odecha. So, the story goes like this. There was a woman who lived in a certain town in Europe, and this woman had an elderly mother who lived in a different town. And she wanted to bring her mother to live near her so she can properly take care of her. Her mother was elderly, her mother was older, she was becoming more dependent, etc., more frail. So she wanted her mother to move from her town and come to live with her so she can take care of her properly. And no matter what she did, she could not convince her mother to move from her town, not in any way, shape, manner, or form. And she tried everything in the book. And her mother was getting quite elderly. She was getting older. No spring chicken anymore. She was getting older. And the daughter was at her wit's end. I can't do this. I can't go on like this. So she went to one of the Gedolei Hador of the time. And she said, please help me to convince my mother to come live with me. I want to take care of her. I want to, not just the Kibud Avayim. That's besides the point, but I my mother needs it. And please help me convince her. So the Gadol said, listen, bring your mother. No, you'll try to convince her, etc. So they brought the mother to the Gadol Hador, and they told over the whole story. And and the Gadol Hador says, listen, your daughter's, very sound what she's saying. She wants to take care of you. You're getting older. It'd be easier if you were living closer by, etc. Why don't you want to move? You really should move. So the woman said, absolutely not. B'shum panam va'ofen, not in this world, not in the next. There's nothing in the world that can get me to move it. No way, no how, no chance. Adamant, refused. So the Gadol sensed there was something's going on over here. So he turns to the woman and he says, listen, something doesn't give. Why don't you want to move? Your daughter wants to take care of you. It'll be easier for you. It'll be easier for her. Why don't you want to move? Why are you so adamant? Listen to the answer of what this woman said. This woman turned to the rabbi, to the Gadol Hador, and she says, as long as I am alive and I am breathing, I will never move from my town, my house. Why? Because when I was a little girl, when I was a child, said this woman, this elderly woman, back in Europe, it wasn't like it was today. You can get arba minim, the 4 species, a dime a dozen, very easy to get a hold of. No, it was very difficult. And most towns, the Rov would get a set of arba minim, the lulav, the esrog, etc. And everyone would come to the rabbi's house to shake the lulav and esrog. Only the very, very wealthy people had these things. Most people didn't have. In one year, there was a terrible, terrible shortage, and it was impossible to get an esrog. Impossible. And it was an exuberant amount of money. Exorbitant amount. So, but how could it be that they're not going to have arba minim? So this woman's father went and sold his home and took the proceeds of the selling of the home, several $1,000s, and went and procured an esrog in order to perform the mitzvah. She says, I live in this town. Every time I pass that house, I see what my father gave up to do the mitzvah of having a kosher esrog on Sukkot. I will never leave this town, not until my dying day. And the Gadol looked at her and he said, you're 100% right. You can't leave. This is what a Jew was. They were willing to give up. They had no food. They lived in poverty. They had nothing. But they were willing to give away everything, including the roof over their head, to perform a mitzvah. That's b'chol me'odecha. Not some wealthy person, spending a few $1,000s on an esrog. He's got tens of millions. What's a few $1,000s on an esrog? Would he be willing to spend $1 million on an esrog? $10 million? That's b'chol me'odecha. So says the Rashba, a person, we are supposed to learn from the Avos, a person is supposed to strive to reach the levels where b'chol avavcha, v'chol nafscha, v'chol miyadecha, to do the will of God. That's what the Rashba says, and that's what Kriya Shema is all about. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Everything is for Hashem Echad, is for Hashem. Why? Because what do we owe God? Everything. Says David HaMelech that we say the entire Sukkot, we say every day in Hallel. Ma Ashiv LaHashem. How can I repay God? How can I repay? Ma Ashiv LaHashem. How can I repay God? Kol tagmuloi alai. The burden of payment is upon me. What can I do to pay God back for all of the kindnesses, for all the miracles, for just the breath of life? Ma'ashiv LaHashem kol tagmuloi alai. And really, that's a question that we have to ask ourselves. Ma'ashiv LaHashem. We're looking, what's Hashem doing for me? This is it? This is the lull of an esrog I got. Come on, God, I deserve better. Oh, pay more? No, that not. Ma ashiv LaHashem kol tagmuloi alai kois yeshuas esa v'shem Hashem ekra. Says David HaMelech, how can we repay Hashem? We can't repay Hashem for all the kindnesses and for all the goodness that He's brought into our lives. But what can we do? We can raise a cup and praise Hashem, thank Hashem. Kois Yeshua Zeza v'shem Hashem Ekra, and call out in the name of God and sing His praises. That is what we can do. Now let's go back to the mission of us. What is the attitude of the evil person? Sheli. What's mine is zicher mine. That's mine. Vishelcha sheli. What's yours, you know what, is also mine. Magiali. As they say, that's in Hebrew. In Yiddish, they say, tsekumpt mir. It's coming to me. It's for me. That's evil. Because not only is what somebody else's thing not yours, even what's yours is not really yours. Who are you to begin with? But that's the attitude. Shali, v'shalcha shali. What's the tzaddik? The tzaddik says no. Just the opposite. Shelcha, what's yours is yours. What's not mine is definitely not mine. What's yours is definitely yours. Visheli, and even what is mine, it's not mine. Shelcha belongs to you, Hashem. You gave it to me as a tool to serve you. But it's not mine. It doesn't belong to me. So Sheli, Shelcha, and even Sheli, Shelcha, it's all yours, Hashem. What can I do? What do you want me to do for you? You want me to buy a lulav? You want me to buy an S? Whatever you want. Now let's go back. Now let's go and see what Hoshana Rabbah is all about. We start off with what? We start off with Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is tefillah. We spend the entire day davening. We avodah shabalev b'chol avavcha zeu tefillah. That's Rosh Hashanah. That's what we're giving up to God. We say you're the king, and we're at your service. Yom Kippur is b'chol nafshecha. We give up our entire soul to do the service of God. We don't eat, we don't drink, we don't take pleasure, we don't wear shoes. We only for Hashem. We're like angels. Chol nafshecha, literally our whole nefesh, we're giving to God. What's v'chol miyadecha? That's the yontif of Sukkot. I guarantee you, during the year, would you ever pay an exorbitant price for a broomstick, lemon on steroids, and some branches? Never. You wouldn't even take it for free. And on Sukkot, what are we doing? They're fighting. No, I want the better esrog. No, I want the more mahudr one. You know what? You offering 100, I'm offering 150. No, 200, 300. B'chol miyadecha. What do we do for Hashem? We're willing, and this is only after Sukkot, only after Yom Kippur, can you get a Jew to buy a lemon on steroids, a broomstick, and some branches for an exorbitant price. During the year, he'll never do it. But after Rosh Hashanah, Ser Simei Tshuva, Yom Kippur, now for a mitzvah, he's willing to put everything out on the line. And he's going to build a sukkah, and he's going to go out of his house, and even though it's uncomfortable and it's hot, there's no air conditioning. And what did we do the entire Sukkot? Says the Gemara. Well, what did it look like? They didn't sleep for an entire week. Shari Shaina, the first hour was Tomen Shel Shachar. That was Halos HaShachar. They woke up 3 a.m. Then they went to Daven. Then they did the Korban Musaf. Then the Tfilas Musaf. Then they went to the Beis Medrash. Then they went for a few minutes to eat and drink. Then it was Mincha. Then the Tamid Shel Bein Arbaim. And then started the Simchas Beis Shoeva. The whole night they were dancing. So the Gemara asks, if they were dancing the whole night, how could they do this? Simchas Beis Shoeva could be if Sukkot starts on Shabbos, that's a whole week. How can you go a whole week without sleeping? The Mishnah says you can't go more than 3 days without sleeping. How could it be? So what do we say? No, you know what? How they slept? Each one would put his head on the shoulder of the next one, and they would, sleep dance. Sleepwalking, sleep dancing. Do you know what they looked like at the end of Sukkot? No money, no energy, and where did all of this go? La Hashem, on the Mizbeach. When we come at the end of Sukkot, and we realize that everything belongs to Hashem, Ma'ashiv La Hashem, Kol Tagbuloi Yalai, we're willing to give everything to Hashem. Chazal, the Chashmonaim, the Bnei Chashmonaim, when they got back to Beis HaMikdash from the Yevonim, they instituted at the end of Sukkot, B'dafka, after all, B'chol Avavcha, B'chol Nafshecha, B'chol Me'adecha, Yoifi Lach Mizbeach. I would do it all again. And they don't say it once, they say it twice. That which Miriam Bas Bilga, that evil person who didn't understand that we're not in this world for us, we're in this world to serve Hashem. What did the Mizbeach do for me? The Greeks came and we had no protection. Corresponding to that, we answer, Yoifi Lach Mizbeach. The essence of a Jew is not what my country can do for me, but it's what I can do for my country. It's not about what God can do for me. Another car, another job, more money, more vacations. What can I do for God? That's what my focus has to be. And that's what Sukkot and Hoshana Rabbah is all about. If we come after Hoshana Rabbah, after an entire avodah of Sukkot, and we look at the Mizbeach and we say, Yoifilach, look at the beautiful service. And even though I'm tired, and even though I don't have any energy, and I gave it all to Hashem, I would do it all over and more, because that's the essence of the Jew. Shalcha shalcha v'shali shalcha. Everything we have comes from Hashem. May we be zoiche to have a Gemar Chasima Taiva. They say a good nkvittel, which means a piska tova that we should have. We should be written in the book of life, signed and sealed. We should have a healthy, prosperous year so that we can serve Hashem even better. Because after Sukkot, what's the next thing we have to worry about? Hanukkah. A Jew never stops. It's not, oh, I did this, now I'm on vacation, I'm on a break. No. We look forward to the next mitzvah. That's why right after Hoshana Rabbah, when we have that realization, what do? Kuchabrichu, V'Yisrael, V'Yaraisa, Chadhu. It's all one. We don't need any props. We don't need any lulavim, esregim. It's just the Jewish people, God, and the Torah. Have a wonderful Yom Tov.